we're seeing great success in our recruiting, and even physicians reaching out to us, saying, "Hey, here's some things that are happening at Mary Rutan, and maybe we could talk." So that makes me excited to think that our mission of providing as many services at a high level in our communities that we serve is healthy.
Welcome to the Small Nation Podcast, brought to you by CoverLink Insurance, where people are more important than policies. On this show, we unpack lessons from entrepreneurs, break down development strategies, and do deep dives on small town success. Our goal is to provide value to our listeners by hosting conversations that teach, inform, and inspire. Hey everyone, my name is Ethan DeLeon, and I'm here in the studio with the founder and CEO of Small Nation, Jason Duff. Today, we're excited to be hosting the president and CEO of Mary Rutan Hospital, Chad Ross. Welcome, Chad.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely.
Great to have you on the show. Chad has been someone that I have looked up to for many years. When I first began my entrepreneurial career, Chad worked at our local law firm and had the reputation to really help a lot of the startups figure out their legal entities and, did negotiations for small businesses and just that particular local law firm. And you don't really realize how important your local law firm is until you really need them. Mm-hmm. And we've had a lot of guests, over the years from that firm. And that's part of Chad's DNA and his story. But even more important than that, we share a family connection. He happened to marry my cousin. Now you're beautiful.
Best decision I've ever made.
Is that really good? She'll love to hear that.
And
too.
Luckiest thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, in small towns, like we're all connected somehow.
Right.
And sometimes that's a family connection. Other times it could be a mentorship or a business connection. But today, why I'm really excited to have you, Chad, is to talk about healthcare. The ways that we interact with our physicians and our doctors and our hospitals, and just how important that ecosystem is. So it is just a great honor to have you on the show. But tell us a little bit about you. Growing up, tell us about that journey and where was home and where is home today.
Absolutely. Interestingly, they're the same.
They're the same.
It was a circuitous route to get there. I am from Logan County originally. When I was first born, I lived up at Indian Lake in the Lakeview area, but when I was 5, we moved out to where my mom still lives, which is between Bellefontaine and Lewistown. So Indian Lake kid, went to Indian Lake High School, and decided when I was, kind of in that high school era, what I wanted to do, and decided that, hey, I'm going to go and become a corporate lawyer. And that was some suggestions that happened from family members talking with them, and it was something I decided, okay, I'm going to do that, but I probably am not going to be able to do that in Logan County. So I went away to college and law school, and it took me from my Southern Ohio, Miami University, to Vanderbilt and Nashville. Got to see the big city in Nashville in a different state. And I started looking all over the country, to be honest with you. I had that opportunity from graduating from Vanderbilt to really go anywhere, from Los Angeles to New York. And I did look at some places, but Ohio has my heart. I'm a Midwestern guy. And honestly, when I left Logan County, I was not the type of person, I got to get out of here. It was really more of a function of me not maybe understanding that the opportunities to practice the type of law or be in the professional areas that I wanted to be existed in rural communities. To the extent that I wanted to do it. And so when I decided, okay, I don't want to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico, New York City, Los Angeles, I want to be in Columbus, Ohio, I moved back to Columbus, Ohio, started my career, and through that evolution, I lived in all the C's in Ohio, transitioning from some legal roles into business development roles in Cleveland and Cincinnati, and all the while I kept a connection with Logan County. It doesn't hurt that Jamie, my wife that you mentioned, is from Logan County as well. But we decided that for us to really live the life that we want to live, we're probably more going to be happier in a rural setting. Also, somewhat coincidentally, I'd been keeping in touch with one of the people that was really a mentor in my life, a gentleman named Rob McDonald, who was in that firm that you mentioned. Yeah. I had the life-changing experience of meeting him after my first year of law school and he gave me a summer job. So my first legal summer job in that first year of law school was working here in Bellefontaine for that firm. While I didn't think that there was a place for me probably long-term in the firm, we kept in touch. Rob was educating me about what they're doing, the opportunities, and lo and behold, in 1999, everything aligned, both with them and with me, to move back and to practice business law, transactional law, some state planning, and move back to Logan County, which is where
was
I live
that
now.
really different from your corporate experience? Like, what were some of the things of that transition from working from the big law firm in the city to the small town?
I like to say a lot of times it was the numbers involved, meaning they're smaller. So the same issues that occur in an asset transaction for a $400 million transaction generally exists for a $400,000 transaction or a $4 million transaction. They may not, the level of time, due diligence, and so forth, because of the risk not being maybe as large overall, but they're still relatively large to the people involved. The same issues exist, the same counsel, the same questions, the same level of scrutiny need to occur. And so while yes, a lot of the folks that I represented in West Central Ohio here valued maybe more brevity and contractual wording, things of that nature. The same level of complexity and of transaction details existed. There definitely was less of the corporate hierarchy. Many times you didn't have, not every time, but a lot of times there weren't a board of directors that or stockholders. A lot less securities regulation involved, which I liked, frankly. It was nicer to not have to worry about blue sky analysis or things of that the securities laws would bring in. So Rob brought me back basically with the idea of taking an existing business law program that they had, growing it, enhancing it, and interestingly, the twist in the story is that one of the largest clients of that firm that gave me the comfort to make this significant transition from big city lifestyle and aspirations to back to my hometown, which I love dearly, was Rutan Hospital, which was the largest client of the firm. Rob, with the work I'd done with other healthcare entities, said, hey, I think we can do more on the regulatory side, even more of the contractual work that I'm not currently doing, bond transactions, things like that. And lo and behold, that's been the case. And I'm sure we'll talk about it, but it led to a life-changing event down the line as well with that relationship. So that's how I ended up back in Logan County, and I've been all the better for it. I can't quite imagine myself being anywhere else, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Relationships, we've heard from a lot of guests, are literally everything. The people that you know, the people that you interact with. But, coming back to the local law firm and meeting a guy like Rob that later became a mentor and to not only you, but to a lot of people in the community, what advice do you have about earning someone's trust? Like what is that process to get to work with the biggest client when you're a junior member of the legal team coming in?
Listen, I think if you go in with a situation to try to prove yourself to the point of I need to interject or butt in or be the smartest person in the room, that you're going to alienate people. You're going to come on too strong. So certainly when I was the junior member to gain that trust, and this happened at the hospital as an example. There were two CEOs ago when I first started working with them, and I would come in with Rob and we'd be talking. Many times I was going to be the lead on something, but I certainly wasn't going to come in and try to upstage, my mentor and the person that had that relationship. I would listen, interject as needed. Of course, when it was my turn, you need to be ready to go to bat when it's time for you to answer a question or give your thoughts to that business leader or that the person you're working with. And then just do, be hardworking and just do the best job you can, for them. Be comfortable and confident in yourself, so that you believe that what you're going to be communicating to them is something of value, and that you're comfortable in being able to stand behind it.
There's a big difference between confidence and arrogance, and I think with young people, sometimes those two things can be mistaken, or until you learn about why you do need to be confident with how you're communicating something or stand for something or believe in something. But if you go in the room, like you said, and pretend like you know it all, that's not going to get you very far.
No, definitely not. And in fact, it'll probably alienate you. And someone may say, you know what, I can tell that person is really smart. They know what they're doing, but I don't think I can work with them. They're just not my type of person.
Yeah. So I got to ask, on your legal journey, why you said you landed on business law? Why business law as opposed to criminal or, like litigation, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I was always good with numbers. In fact, it's to many people, it's a surprise to know that I don't really like to read. I don't read for enjoyment. I did well in all the subjects in school, but definitely math and science were two of my stronger ones. So it was kind of funny that you would go into law, but I went into an accounting and finance double major in college to set myself up to be more of that business advisor. I didn't feel that I was probably someone that would really enjoy being argumentative all the time, and which I think it's probably more that case that you see on TV, that attorneys have to stand up and argue than in reality.
Yeah.
But that said, certainly it is a different adversarial relationship, and I like the idea of bringing people together. And while, even in a business transaction or negotiation, you're not always going to see eye to eye. And in fact, if it's a good deal, you're probably not going to love every aspect of it, because both parties, got to win in a good deal.
Yeah.
I liked the ideas of putting people together, handling that planning aspect, and dealing with the situation when it's falling apart, and now you're arguing over the matter. And that's an important role, and that's why it was always important to me to align myself with trusted partners who could advise me if I needed to document something for my client to protect them if they get to that situation, and then if something did occur down the line in their business, to be able to then confidently hand it over to the person that does have to do that argument. But that was really it for me, is just the lifestyle as much as anything, and then also playing to my strengths.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's cool. I think one thing that fascinated me, from our previous conversation, was just your journey into, a CEO position. How does one get there? And I feel like a lot of times it looks different from person to person. So I'm curious, you got your move back to, small town USA, kind of where you grew up, back to your roots a little bit. Started working with Mary Rutan as a client, which you mentioned, but take us through the rest of that journey.
And I'll just interject real quick, because I remember very clearly why this was going on. Chad's very humble, but he was moving up in his law firm, was a partner, was, on a path to really have a very independent, successful career. But you did a bold move of making a change. And so you're just kind of answering Ethan's question, but also like highlighting that had to be some tough conversations.
Oh yeah, it was definitely the toughest business decision, professional decision I'd probably ever made. More so even than the decision to leave what is the comfortable decision of being in a big city, where as long as you're competent, I was going to fall out of bed and have a good lifestyle and do the things I wanted to do. That was a big decision, to move back to Logan County and say, I really can achieve personal and professional goals and comfort in that setting. That was a big decision. It was even a more giant decision to make the transition from the legal side to a client, and not only in-house, but actually transition to business management, not just legal counsel in-house, which is a transition many people make. In fact, many times that's the segue from a large corporate firm and pick the big city. Many times if they leave that private practice environment, it's just to go be in-house as legal counsel. I look back at, and this is interesting, because I hate to get too philosophical about these things or cheesy, but it's almost like it felt like it was a calling at some point. And because I look back and I can see it all in hindsight. I was always a person that wanted to be in a leadership role. I wanted to be involved in the decision making of potential outcomes, and not just advising of the pros and cons of those decisions, or here's the aftermath of that outcome. So even when I was in private legal practice, I felt like this is awesome. I'm learning so much advising entrepreneurs or advising people that had already been successful, but man, I really kind of want to be with them when they're making that deal, and not just coming to me saying, hey, we got this deal put together, but we need you to help us out with this or document it and that type of thing. So then I left a firm and went to do business development, which was putting those deals together on very large scale. And I got to do some financial transaction analysis and use more of that my math and finance background and deal making with people, and not just attorney to attorney, and developed there. And then over time, I just felt that as I was moving in the firm, like you said, I couldn't have imagined myself not retiring from Thompson, Dunlap, and Heidner, which was my old firm here in town. And as I looked at the hospital, though, who was my largest client, i.e. the firm's largest client as well, I would have anywhere from, at the low end, maybe 10 to 20% of my work was hospital work too. If it was a significant amount of just things happening or a bond transaction happening, it might be 75% of my work at that for a few month period or something. And I know we're going to talk about this, but in the volatility of healthcare, I didn't want to be the person that got the call, hey, something's happening with the hospital, whether it's the less likely in our scenario of a transaction involving control of the hospital, and this is your last deal that you'll be doing because now it's part of something else, or more likely, hey, the CEO that you work with and is comfortable using you and the firm is retiring. The new CEO's from Timbuktu, and they bring with them a firm that they're comfortable with. So this is, and I just didn't want that to happen.
That's a big risk. I mean, and it probably was a very really, it could have happened. I mean, probably 50-50 chance that your biggest client, you could lose them.
And so that's like the professional reason for it.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to say reason, but professional factor in that decision, but also from a community standpoint, because this is my community. I love it and I'm proud of it, and I want to make it better after I'm gone than what I found it. I wanted to be part of those decisions. I wanted to make sure that I was involved, not just from a legal advising standpoint. I wanted to be on the inside of what's going to happen with local healthcare, with our local health system and the hospital. Luckily, I was working with Mandy Goebel, who I'd had the pleasure to work with Butch Crawfus, who had been CEO for multiple decades up and through the early 2000s and the early part of my Bellefontaine, my Logan County career, then with Mandy Goebel for a number of years. And I started talking with Mandy about what it would look like to be in-house and taking on not just a legal advisor role, but a business management role. And she had speaking of courage, she had the courage and had worked with me enough and felt comfortable that I could make that transition. It's not a natural transition per se. It's not impossible by any stretch. Obviously, if I can do it, it's not impossible. But she had that courage and vision. And so in 2013, after much deliberation on my part, talking with Jamie, because that impacts your family as well. What if I wasn't good?
Right.
What if the plan didn't come together? And the other thing I told Mandy as we were talking about is I don't want to make the change from as you said, a very good, robust situation with my own clients, with my firm relationship, a great group of guys that are still my brothers and sisters up there. I didn't want to make that change if it wasn't with the eye that I could grow to be the CEO. I wasn't handed to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't a foregone conclusion. If I didn't do the job, I wasn't going to get it. But I needed to know that this is something that's on the plate and that people are evaluating me towards for me to make that change. And
that took courage.
Yeah.
But obviously it's worked out well. And you've been in that role. Well, I say you were vice president for a number of years, and you've been now president and CEO of how long?
It'll be 3 years in
3
August.
years.
Yep. 21 was the transition date. And I moved over in October of 2013, as you said, in VP of operations, then chief operating officer, and then transitioned to CEO when Mandy retired in 21.
Wow, that's really cool. What was it like? I mean, you're kind of transitioning domains here a little bit, learning the healthcare system for you. Talk to us about that.
We talked a little bit about how that worked when you walk into a new client or the boardroom the first time, and as the new guy, it was a lot the same. One thing about I'd had the previous experience both in business, putting deals together, valuations, also the legal counsel. I had business, accounting and finance training and acumen from that. And so when I came in, what I didn't have was day-to-day healthcare knowledge. Certainly I'm not clinical, so that was by far the biggest deficit.
Sure.
And so I came in, one thing about the legal training is it allows you to take in information, evaluate it, organize it, and then adapt to it in your planning and what your future decisions are. So I fully utilize that. I would come in and I would make sure I listened, and I was not shy about if I didn't know the answer, or frankly, if I didn't even know the what a term meant or an acronym, healthcare acronyms everywhere.
You probably got really good at that.
Yeah. And so I'd just be like, okay, hey, help me out, let me know. And one of my favorite sayings is, hey, I'm not, I'm the slow guy in the room, so help me out with this. And it's true. People don't. I find this in everywhere. People don't understand what the term ignorant really means. It doesn't mean you're without intellect or the ability to understand or learn. It just means you haven't had exposure to it, or you haven't encountered that. And so I'm not afraid to say that in a meeting. Hey, I'm ignorant of this situation, or can you tell me what you mean by that? So I did a lot of listening. But like I said, I have the ability that I feel confident in to, okay, I'm relatively quick study. If you help me out, educate me, and I have the ability to then make the decisions based on the input from others and getting all sides of that. That's the other thing I think that both maybe I have a predisposition to, but also definitely legal training allows you to understand the perspective of many different people who are involved. So you may not always agree with that perspective, but you need to understand it and you need to evaluate it, because you may need to bridge that gap with someone, or you may need to explain to them, hey, here's why we can't do what your perspective is bringing to the table, or here are the challenges that come with your perspective. That is something that I've been able to do in making that transition. You got to respect your team. You got to respect the people that have spent many years honing their craft. And then I need to make sure I make the decisions so that I can help them on the allocation of resources. I can help them apply their craft well, and that's what I've tried to do in that transition.
Yeah. Can you speak to the level of different types of care that is necessary in the healthcare continuum? Like for a small town, we are so lucky to have a locally owned and governed hospital. There's so many towns that are in that 20,000 people number that Mary Rutan's kind of one of the last small town hospitals left. And can you speak to what types of services and care and why Mary Rutan is unique?
Yeah, I can tell you why we're unique to start, and then maybe I want to ask a little bit on the types of care. As you note, healthcare is a very difficult business. It's highly regulated. I've heard it described as the most highly regulated business outside of the nuclear energy business.
It probably is.
I really don't challenge that. I'm sure that technically there may be something else in there that's a niche type business, but it's very highly regulated. So everything you have in business principles now add on a layer of regulation. So for instance, transactions that we could do in another setting, almost any other setting, many times in healthcare, you're not allowed to do it because it's an illegal kickback, or it's a payment or gifts that you're giving to someone for their business that you're not allowed to do. So it just makes it very complex. And so with that complexity comes overhead. Of course, it's a very science and data-driven business, so there's lots of hardware expenditures, that type of thing, very capital-intensive business. And we're a people business, and if there's a type of business or a type of trade, there's probably something in a health system, from environmental services to food and nutrition. We have people that are in maintenance that are very, contractor skills and
technology,
and HVAC skills. We have IT. And then, of course, we have the obvious. We have highly skilled people that are rad techs or surgeons, and you name it. So all that combines to a very complex business, and it's very hard in a smaller entity or organization to be able to keep up with all that and to do it efficiently. And so what you've seen in healthcare is you've seen consolidation, where let's take this hospital and this hospital and this hospital, we'll put them together, we'll share certain things in like the back office, like IT, some of those things that could be centralized. And sometimes, unfortunately, services get centralized, and the idea is to make it efficient. And it is a business principle. We all, we know from business concepts that if you can centralize certain
Economies of
things,
scale,
there's
right?
amen. Economies of scale does make it efficient. The problem is that we're talking about a customer service business as healthcare
And people's lives.
and people's lives. That's what I mean, and people's lives. And so sometimes what that lends itself to is that the services are no longer available locally because now they've been centralized to someplace down
or
the
they're not
street.
effective in
potentially,
how far
yeah.
away you might be. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we strive to, and we are unique, and this band of West Central Ohio is one of the bands, if you will, that still has a number of sole community hospitals and health systems, because I think we live in an area that values that. We strive to make sure that we're still making healthcare decisions locally about what services are here, what services aren't here, trying to make them as cost effective as we possibly can with the economies of scale that we have and the business decisions that we make. And just make sure that we're also employing as many people as we have here. That's another topic, a whole nother topic of how I view Maritan's role in our community, both as an economic development driver, but also a community supporter, from sponsoring T-ball teams to investing in economic development with the chamber to being a supporter of downtown events, you name it. So all those things combine to make it a very difficult proposition to meet today's healthcare demands without having a giant scale of multiple hospitals and a very large geographic scope. Having said that, my predecessors have done a good job setting Maritan up. Our communities have supported us to put us in a position where we're able to meet our own desires, but also our board's mandate to continue to be independent and make those decisions locally. We work very hard to try to get the scale that we lack, also with strategic partnerships. And so I like to say jokingly that we're Switzerland because there are large health systems in the triangle around us all the way, Dayton, Lima, and Columbus. And our patients sometimes may say, hey, I want to go to this particular health system if the care isn't provided locally, or maybe they want to go to a different geographic location. And we work with all of those different entities, not only for transitions of care, but we try to make strategic decisions that, and open decisions that we're not tied to any one suitor, that if there's a transaction that makes sense for us to tap into that scale, that we don't have, then we've been successful and we've had good partners to be able to do that as well, which is really a game changer if we don't have the pure numbers that we bring to the table.
Yeah. As you think back when you first took your new role and you're getting feedback for, you have limited time and limited resources, how you structure some of the strategic decisions, some of them probably for growth, some of them making some difficult decisions to discontinue some things. Like, what are the things that you're most proud of changes that you've kind of led in the organization?
Well, the Maritan Health Center, I'm really proud of. That was, we wear a lot of hats at Maritan. That's another thing about a small community, a sole community hospital and health system is that you don't have infinite number of people. That I only do real estate development. So as in my operations role, I was kind of overseeing, working with the architects and things on that. And that checked many boxes. Number one, of course, for the health system, first and foremost, it gave us a facility that allowed us to expand in numerous areas with our therapy services that had outgrown their previous facility. We brought our first urgent care to the community, and the first for Rutan Health, which was a big and needed thing. We gave ourselves area to expand, and we recently have with our ortho and ENT and some consolidation there as well for efficiencies. But the other thing we did is we turned a pile of rubble that had been at 33 and 68 for a decade into this beautiful building that one of the first things, if I meet someone and I tell them, I work in Bellefontaine, Ohio, Logan County, they'll be like, oh, is that, and with Rutan Health, and they're like, oh, is that your building that's out there? That's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
I drive by it on a 33. And many times I get the question, is that the hospital? No, it's not the hospital. It's just around the corner, but it's a beautiful building. So that's one that's like a brick and mortar. And then the services there, of course, I'm proud of those. More recently, we started something that shows how we can't be everything for everyone with our scale, and we would never pretend to be. Obviously, there are tertiary care centers like in Ohio State, Wexner, Riverside, and Columbus that exist because they are able to then take some things to the next level of care. But, as technology, as anything in our society evolves, more things can be done locally. And one of those that I would say even 10 to 15 years ago, many people would have never dreamed would have happened at Mary Rutan or Logan County is interventional cardiology, which is the ability to intervene with a patient who's having a heart attack, essentially. And we had very good processes and outcomes in place for a person who came into our ER that was having a heart attack to get flown to a facility where they could go into those into the heart and actually put stents into the arteries and so forth. And but now we do that here, and we're saving lives here, right here in Bellefontaine, Ohio, with full-time 24/7, 365 access to interventional cardiologist in an emergency situation, and then even diagnostic cath lab work we're able to do here. So that's been, I'm really proud of that one, and that's a tough one. I mean, it's a big investment, right? It's a very expensive proposition, and it's one of those things. Like in healthcare, when we deploy something in Logan County, we need the community to utilize it. It's like anything. If you want a nice shiny thing in your backyard, you got to use it.
We always do. Everyone says they want a new restaurant, and then it's like, okay, are you supporting your local restaurant so that they're doing well? Then more will come in. So,
Jason, I'm glad you brought that up because I have admired what you guys have done, of course, and I've been a fan of you and what Small Nation has done, and then of course the people that also doing the same thing here, arm in arm with you, that have been inspired by you on downtown revitalization, community revitalization. And I've been trying to, in our marketing and our approach to bring healthcare into that. The idea that if we want these things to be here, we have to buy local. And certainly that means either eating at a local restaurant or buying a T-shirt or
local retail.
Exactly. It's the same in healthcare. Now, I know it's not the same because it's people's lives. Some things aren't available here. There's payer issues about whether it's in network and not in network. I know it's not that simple. However, we started a few years ago a marketing campaign, Look to Us First, and basically hey, don't sleep on the local healthcare system. We are bringing great people to the community and healthcare providers and professionals to provide a very high level of care that I would stack up with entities of our types anywhere. And so don't sleep on that and the quality of that before you decide, I got to go out of town. I saw that even in my legal career. They can't be an expert if they live within 10 minutes of me, or they got to be 25 miles away to be an expert. I have a very firm belief, and I say this internally, I say it externally, that we will not provide a service and we won't have a provider providing care to this community if I wouldn't go there, if I wouldn't take my family there, my mom, my wife, my kids. And internally, I tell our team, if there's a reason, particularly providers that might refer to another provider, if there's a reason that you have a concern referring to this service line or this individual, I need to know that because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I live here, I work here. I have to look the folks in the eye that I trust and care about, and that's who we are, and that's what we want to be, and that's the pledge we kind of make.
All right, at this time, we're going to take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors. Brew Fountain's voted best beer bar in Ohio. Come visit their award-winning team in downtown Bellefontaine for fresh, local craft beer, soups, salads, sandwiches, wine on tap, and handcrafted cocktails. And they're always available to cater your next event with their boxed lunches and platters. Cheers to Small Nation. Come check out 600 Downtown Pizzeria in downtown Bellefontaine, where they cherish the art of making the most authentic, unique, and delicious, world-famous and award-winning pizzas. Their team hand-spins each pizza the old-fashioned way and only uses the freshest of ingredients. Come see why they were featured on the Food Network.
Yeah. I admire that. It's sometimes hard to solicit feedback if the feedback is negative. But sometimes I think that can be your greatest strength. Like what is your process as a leader to get that feedback for how your organization becomes better, whether it's the internal with your employees or could be your customers. How do you do that?
I try to make people comfortable in we call it accountability, and it's not a dirty word. Accountability is not a dirty word, and I'm very big on team. And this goes back to the sports, just growing up playing sports and seeing how that team function. But it really cuts across all of life. And if one person on the team isn't maybe meeting the team's expectation, the team isn't as good. But it doesn't mean you just throw that person out. You work with them to get better. But you also can't shy away that, hey, Jimmy, Joe, Jenny, you're not doing what we need. Here's what we need. Let's work together to get there. So definitely try to make sure that we are open in our ability to bring things, and we do it in a professional manner. We do it in a constructive manner. We do welcome, and we have so many different ways and avenues of our customers, our patients, to provide us feedback. Whether it's everyone probably tires of getting surveys, but it is important for us to hear and have that feedback. We have customer hotlines, we have actual call follow-ups as well, and I don't shy away from the fact that whether I'm at the grocery store or at a ball game, I'm probably going to get feedback as well.
Listen.
And then absolutely, you got to listen, you got to take it in, get it to the proper people, and as I said earlier, understand their perspective and the issues involved, and then make sure that we have the appropriate feedback. And sometimes it's like, sorry, we fell short of your expectation on that. Here are the things why. And other times it's more of it could be an education to say, here's the explanation, and here's what that meant. And again, sorry that there was a misunderstanding, but this is the proper way to word this or document it, that type of thing. So really, it's trying to meet people where they are and then work together to get a solution, and to be open-minded, hopefully, on both sides of that discussion.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned one of the things you're proud of, and I really do think this is something to double click on, is the new Mayor Rutan Health Center. And as you drive into the gateway of our community, and this is an issue in a lot of places, is that the first impression of that community is how it looks. And the area where the new health center now stands, you had some innovation and thought that as we're growing, we're going to actually add an extra floor. I think is it 3 floors or 4 floors?
It's 3.
Three floors. And the third floor was empty because at the time, we want to make you were very conservative to say, let's make sure this business model is going to work.
Right.
But now today, you just mentioned that third floor is now fully occupied. Mm-hmm. And even deeper, when the gateway got improved, one of the things that was missing in the community is we lacked the number of high quality lodging options. Can you kind of speak from the economic development hat, what you did in working with the community to recruit a new hotel?
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a journey. That's like you said, there's a lot of things I'm proud of that we've accomplished, and this is another one. It isn't core to healthcare, and it definitely isn't something that we felt certainly jeopardized our ability to provide healthcare. That is still first and foremost, but it does play into how important we feel economic development and community support is for the local health system to be involved and be a pillar of the community. So when we acquired the property up there, we knew we had more property than we would certainly need for the health center, and at that time I had been Chamber of Commerce president. We probably have had 8 Chambers of Commerce presidents at Mayor Rutan over the years, and from representatives. We always have someone on that board, and so we knew full well that we needed another lodging option that fit that particular niche in our lodging choices. And so we had some land. We actually laid out the land and the development there with an eye, that this could be a place where a hotel could be. The lots are of that size, and then we looked at what could be some companion retail as well to bring in that with the idea to not be duplicative, but maybe unique and bring something to the community if we could, to the extent we had that ability. For the hotel, we originally partnered with the Chamber of Commerce to commission a hotel study that did a market analysis of the Logan County region and surrounding options, and did pro forma projections on the size of hotel, the rates, and the feasibility of it. And we worked to try to market it. And the one thing about, and I know you've run into this so many times, we've had this conversation, is that while there are definitely good opportunities in Logan County and rural markets, some of the big players, that the Hiltons of the world and some of those things, even a good positive rate of return here in Bellefontaine is not going to get their attention when they can get that double return on the outskirts of Las Vegas or the north side of Cincinnati. You know, pick those places that we nationally know are just exploding. And so we were having a hard time getting someone super excited about it, and we came close a couple times, and then COVID hit, and I kind of put it on the side burner, and like, this is not our core thing. COVID is
maybe adjust your lenses there.
COVID's here, so I don't have time to do this in addition to all the things that would need to happen, just even absent COVID in our healthcare system. And lo and behold, other people though in the community continued to be involved, and I continue to support it. Ben Volrath from the chamber said, "Hey, I want to quarterback this, and I think I should be." I said, "Great, I'll be right there with you, but I appreciate you doing that," and he did. We then updated the study again with Mayor Rutan, paying a portion of that with the chamber, and we then finally kind of got the critical mass going with the current Cobblestone Hotel group that specializes in rural markets. So they see the opportunity, and they're not their attention isn't diverted with Las Vegas and north side of Cincinnati. And
they
so
want to
forth.
be here.
They want to be here, and we got a local group of investors, and the hospital for its part, because I know how financing can be challenging. I know how raising equity, which is the most expensive form of financing you can get, right, can be. And so we contributed the real estate in exchange for ownership interest in the hotel through one of our subsidiaries, not the hospital itself, but a sister corp, this for-profit entity, because we knew that would help on the capital raise and be less of a lift for the local investors that were coming. So we're super excited to see that going up.
Well, you drive by, they are swinging hammers.
Yep.
The framing's already done, and windows went in, and it's pretty awesome to see not only this happening in Bellefontaine, but a similar investor group is also doing one at Indian Lake. So for the Logan County area, it took those partners to come around the table to get the deal done, and just goes to show if you didn't have a local hospital that was focused on seeing the overall success of the community, that project probably wouldn't have happened.
Yep.
Yeah, we're happy to be a part of it, and we were we were also very supportive of Indian Lake, even though we didn't have the land to contribute. So therefore, we didn't have the direct investment incentives. We the studies that we put together included that, and I was gung ho that we to see that both of those are happening. So yeah, it's exciting changes.
Yeah. Well, between that, I mean, we've already talked about, providing jobs, and then that's a great example, but you also talked about sponsoring the local T-ball teams and, signage, things like that around town. Why is that important in your position, and why do that, your community hospital, but we're talking to economic development professionals and entrepreneurs on this podcast, but what can you share some of your mindset when it comes to pouring into the community like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a successful community, if you look at successful communities, there are certain pillars that are consistent in all of those. Schools is the one that I think everyone would think of. I think healthcare is one of those. There are several others. I'm sure that EMS, things of that nature, but healthcare is a pillar, and so we want to be there to fulfill that core mission of health and wellness and being there in times of need and those areas of promotion. But I've seen what can happen if the healthcare system isn't thriving and isn't involved in the community. And I think the community, even if the healthcare system shrinks, I think the potential for the community to shrink is right there as well. So we feel very strongly about being out in the community, supporting it, lifting. What's the saying? A rising tide lifts all ships. So we feel like number one, it's the right thing to do, but number two, we're going to get sustainability payback by having a strong community where people want to live and want to be involved and relocate. And of course, they're going to then look to us for our core of our business, just like any business is going to benefit from having more people that are in the community to spend that money. I also, growing up here, saw how important that business support of the community was. And that doesn't just mean hospital business support, but all businesses, from scholarships to the T-ball sponsorship and so forth. And Mayor Rutan is uniquely positioned to have a substantial, budget. We can't say yes to everything, but we do have the ability to say yes to a lot of things. And we don't have shareholders. I don't answer to a foreign board of directors in some far-off city that wants to see the full bottom line and not just what impact we're making here on the ground. And so we have the ability to measure our financial success and also where those expenses that maybe we could have a greater margin if we didn't spend as much as we do in the community on community benefit activities, but that's not what we're about. We want to do that. And then, of course, we are a tax exempt entity, and
That's a big tool too.
And we're tax exempt because we provide healthcare services. Again, first and foremost, that's our mission. That needs to be just said,
Right.
No question. But I also view it because we are a tax exempt charitable entity. We also need to be functioning in these other areas as well. I guess because it is my hometown, I feel even more strongly about that. It might be more difficult if I was the CEO of a system that had 100 different hometowns. And how do you allocate those to the local T-ball teams and all those places?
Sure.
To use our metaphor there. That's philosophically what I inherited from the hospital, and I think from just a personal standpoint, I feel really strongly about it as well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And finally here, what are you kind of excited for as you think about the future of Mary Rutan?
I'm very excited about the team that I get to work with. There's been a number of transitional steps there, and we've got some just great people. Any good leader needs to surround themselves with people that are stronger than they are, frankly, in my opinion. And then you help them to do what they do best and try to stay out of their way and also provide the guidance. So I feel really strongly about our team. We've got a great team and excited about that. I'm excited about where I see us going with the things like the cath lab, which was probably something that rural health systems didn't do that type of thing 15 years ago. And now we're doing it. Wound clinic was something that we instituted that people were having to leave the community for. We have a very strong medical staff. I guess I'll just mention this just because she's going to do a testimony about it. But my wife just had back surgery at Mary Rutan, and unfortunately, she went from kind of being bedridden, debilitated from a bulging disc to being able to walk within the 24 hours of that procedure and getting around. And people don't think about the level of care that we can provide at a very high level. So I'm really excited about seeing the evolution of the medical staff. We're seeing great success in our recruiting, and even physicians reaching out to us, saying, "Hey, here's some things that are happening at Mary Rutan, and maybe we could talk." So that makes me excited to think that our mission of providing as many services at a high level in our communities that we serve is healthy. Yeah,
I love that. Very cool. Well, I'm going to move us into kind of a more lighthearted, fun segment of the show. These are the good questions here. So. This is our rapid fire Q&A. Question number 1 is, what is your favorite restaurant in the area?
I saw this on a previous podcast.
It's a trick.
And I swore I wasn't going to answer this one. I like a lot of restaurants in Logan County because I guarantee you, if I picked one, I'm going to get it from somebody. I've got friends.
Favorite menu items. What's some of the favorite menu items?
There you go.
Yeah. I love... look, Rob Underwood nailed it. He said Brew Fountain because I love the food items, but I also like their beer choices and so forth. A good friend of mine has a Buckeye at the lake at Indian Lake. I like to go there, but there's so many good places in Indian Lake. I love Flying Pepper. 600. The stalwarts downtown Bellefontaine are all great. But then we're lucky to have like Iron City down the street. It's a good place. I don't want for anything when it comes to food in Logan County. Yeah. I rarely go to the big city, quote unquote, anymore. I feel like we've got it almost all.
You don't kind of realize that till you go to other small towns. It's probably what other people say about Mary Rutan. It's like when you have, it's part of us educating all the people about all the things that we do have here.
Oh, amen. Yeah. I know this is supposed to be rapid fire, but
no, you're good.
So years ago, I was in a conference in Orlando. It was close to Disney, and so Jamie flew down with me, and we made a long weekend of it. And one of the days, we did something that when we had taken our kids there, that we said this would be really fun to do as adults. When we did Epcot as adults. and we ate and we drank in every country, and we call it the day of 20,000 calories. But you know what? You can do that in Bellefontaine.
Yeah.
You can do that in Bellefontaine.
I would
now.
agree.
A little bit of a go around,
Especially desserts now. We've got some of the best dessert places around too.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you name it. You can have multiple types of food and multiple beverages to wash it down. So it's great.
Yeah, good point.
and chocolate, I think, is good for your health. We need to ask some of the dietitians out
There you
there.
go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
If you weren't in your current role, what would you be doing?
Oh, I'd still be practicing law.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Did
No doubt.
anything more specific than that, or just anywhere? that you had the
No,
chance to?
I thought I had reached my final destination when I was a partner at the law firm and advising great clients that I miss now in this new role that I'm 100% dedicated to. But that's what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this. I'd be in Logan County practicing law.
Chad,
Very
what do you do to recharge? What's your kind of hobby, or like this is something that when I'm not working, I can turn off and actually I just really enjoy doing?
I don't know if I can ever turn off, but I enjoy a lot of different things. Of course, I love the opportunity to go home and spend time with my family, my 2 daughters and my wife, to say, hey, how was your day? Hear from them. There's a lot of time spent attending their activities as they've been growing up. I love the outdoors, so I love golf. I'm a hunter, so I enjoy hunting and taking trips. And then my happy place is northern Michigan. I love to go. We have a cabin in a place called Bear Lake up by kind of Traverse City area, and I just love to go up there. And that, if I ever unplug, which is never, that's the closest I come is there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. A couple closing questions here, and the first one is: what is one professional development resource that was impactful for you along your professional journey?
This is another one you gave me a heads up on, and I said I'm not a big reader. I am more of an observer. And I pick up things more from observing behaviors, whether it's just a behavior even of a conversation that I'm not even a part of, but just watching TV interviews, things of that nature, and of course mentors that I've had. So I think observing and being open-minded is very important. Picking up the things that you see, that was an effective way. Even that's an effective way to say that. And filing that away, something as simple as that, and then of course surrounding yourself with those mentors that are gonna give you opportunities and feed you, and be both I said accountable, but they're going to give you the goods and the bads for professional development. On the level of books, I did have one book that has really made an impact on me, but it wasn't as much. I guess you could say it's more personal, but it does play into people that are building their professional development, and of course then the financial resources that come with it. And it was called The Millionaire Next Door. Read that in the late 90s, right about the time when I was starting my career, and it was of interest because it kind of showed how many times the people that did not accumulate wealth were doctors and lawyers, and those that did were people that lived more within their means, maybe didn't even spend a decade in school, that type of thing. And why? What were the traits and decisions that those people made? And again, the title makes it sound like you're worshiping money, and it wasn't really that. It was about having the financial security to provide for your family, to do the things you wanted to do, not just I only care about becoming a millionaire, quote unquote. It was about traits that allowed you to be frugal, to invest early and often and consistently. And it was I've often said in talks that I've given to either high school kids or other places that if there was a required reading for seniors coming out, that's a book I would recommend, because it does let them learn everything from all the things I've said, including the time value of money and investing.
Right.
So
yeah, that's a
I
good one.
got one before you wrap this up.
Sure.
So you spoke a lot about Rob McDonald and just such a great man and mentor. Do you have a favorite Rob-ism that has stuck with you over the years, of something that you learned that maybe you have incorporated in your life?
Oh man, there's so many. We actually we created a whole list of things. People were doing, sharing those and creating that list, and then we had emails going back and forth. One that I'm using a lot more now that I used to joke with him about is stop me if I've told you this before, because
That line.
because Many times, yes. He had in fact told
Repeat
that
himself.
story before, and now he's going to tell it again. And now I find myself doing it because I've told that story before, or I forgot that I told somebody that story. So I find myself leading with that. But gosh, Jason, there's so many. He was great. I've had. Of course, my dad had an uncle, Howard Holsbury. That was my dad, Chuck Ross. My uncle, Howard Holsbury, was a dentist in Lakeview that really did a lot for me and taught me a lot. And then on non-family, Rob was right there. He's like top 5 in the people that have made an impact on me.
Yeah, very cool. Last question here is, where can people follow you and Mary Rutan to keep up the work that you guys are doing?
Sure. So maryrutan.org is our website, and we try to have it as user-friendly as it can be, and also have all of our information. We're always updating that, and we'll be updating that even in the upcoming project. And then we're on Facebook and Instagram, or I guess the Gram.
The Gram.
There you go.
Now that's about the extent. I'm not aware of us being on TikTok or anything at this point. Although again, we may be behind the times on some of that. So, but yeah, you can find us on all those places. And as far as contacting me, email. And I try to get back with people that leave me voicemail messages. You name it. I have an open door policy with staff and with our customers, that our community members, my neighbors.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, Chad, I think you put a new definition on the terms CEO, instead of the chief executive officer, which you do that so well. The key about being the chief engagement officer, like actually getting deep with your team members, listening in your community. And I just remember, we had this crazy event in our community. An EF3 tornado came through in March 14th, and Chad and Mary Rutan responded in a really big way, in a lot of ways that they've not shared. But I remember being over in Lakeview that very next day, and Chad and the Mary Rutan truck pulls into Lakeview that just went through an incredible amount of devastation. And it is loaded up with resources and generators and water and supplies. And we are getting them out as quick that we possibly could. But if it wasn't for, Chad doesn't sit behind a desk. Like, he's engaged and in the community. And I think that's a big lesson for all of us. And I love how you spoke today about part of what the hospital does is the overall economic health of the community, the jobs that you create, the investments that you're making, the ways that you're giving back. And for those people that are listening, find a way to support your local health system, get engaged in that process to keep your hospital strong. We need the community banks. We need the local pharmacists. We need those local systems to stay strong, to do all the things that you're able to do. So thanks for being a guest on the show today.
Thank you. It's really been an honor and a privilege to be here. I appreciate it. It's been enjoyable. So thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in on this episode of the Small Nation Podcast. We hope that conversation proved valuable to you. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to share the episode and follow the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcasting platform. You can also subscribe to the Small Nation YouTube channel if you prefer to watch your episodes. Follow Small Nation on social media, and we'll see you in the next episode.